Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the cabinet. Today, I'm joined with one of my first friends here on Twitch, Daniel, aka Sloth. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hi.
Hi, it's me.
I fucking knew you were gonna say that. Oh my god. Yep, that's Daniel, and that
That's
kind of like transitions us good into the topic of social anxiety, which is what we're talking about today. Since all you can say is just, it's me. What a perfect little transition into it.
It works out so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, apparently. So, today on this episode, guys, we're going to be talking about social anxiety and the effects of like streaming, social media, or just social anxiety in general. And the first topic, honestly, is just how it affects your streaming and social media, because I know with you with streaming you don't seem anxious when you're on stream, but I don't know how it actually affects you behind the scenes.
hmm
So, just if you want to just touch on like how social anxiety affects like you streaming, whether it's before you start streaming, during streaming, after, whichever.
I mean, it kind of like clocks in and out of all three, right? Sometimes it comes before, sometimes it comes during, sometimes it's after, but it's a lot of like it's a lot of comparisons, right? So it's like
Mm.
I will like, oh, I'll see like, oh, X person is doing this, and then I'll compare like what I'm doing to them, and it's just like I for whatever reason can't help but just compare myself to others. So
Really?
yeah, so like I'll see like, oh, this person's doing this creative thing, and I'm just like, okay, well, what do I have planned for tonight? I'm playing Call of Duty Zombies for the 19th time in a row. Am I doing anything special? Not really. I'm just shooting things. I'm like,
I
but
see.
is that good enough? Like, do I have to spice it up? Like, am I doing something wrong? Do I just stay the course? What do I do? And then that just leads to like feelings of inadequacy and not being good enough and the whole nine yards, which those feelings can be very tough to shake off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't compare as much as like when you're like looking at what everybody else is doing. My only thing with like the comparing with other streamers is that when you see people grow at a certain pace and you're just kind of doing you, it's like, like I've gotten boring, so now I'm almost getting bored, which is kind of what's been like happening with me with streams lately. Is literally I feel like I'm just kind of fading off because I've played the games like how many times.
mhm.
I've now met all the people. I've met some of my like closest friends here. I feel like I've had that like excitement and everything, and then now it's just kind of like now people are out doing their own things. Everybody has grown, and they all kind of separated a bit because people used to support a lot more in the beginning than they do now, and it's totally fine that they don't, but then you kind of think like, oh, like what am I doing wrong now?
Yeah, like
That's what's
you start
gotten
to
me.
overthink it, and it's just like, oh, it's clearly something that I'm doing wrong. When in
Yeah.
actuality, it's probably not.
Yep.
And it's just like sometimes life gets in the way. Maybe they have like a bunch of people that they want to support, and it's like if you have like 30 people to support, if you pop in 5 minutes at a time, you're still looking at several hours total,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I've had to tell myself too a lot, like, is
Mhm.
just that people, now that they have built their community, they have people who are like constantly there, so they don't have to really go into people's streams and show as much support anymore. And not that they don't support, like some people do still support, but they
Yeah,
don't come in as much anymore because now it's like, I've have my community and I gotta focus on my community now, which I
yeah,
totally get. um, I still try though a lot to go into people's streams because I want it to still seem like I do care, and even if I'm not there, it doesn't mean I don't care. It's just like brain sometimes likes to brain, and
hmm
it is definitely gets tiring too to go into people's streams and talk, because then you feel bad to just say, hey, how you doing, and they answer you and you're like, okay, cool, I'm lurking now. Like, it just feels so
yeah.
bad to do that.
Yeah, like no, I definitely understand that. It's like everybody grows at a different rate. Some people
Mm-hmm.
grow just abnormally fast, and others grow rather slowly. Um, and I've been surprisingly, I've been doing this a long time. I think probably about 2 years, maybe a little more.
Really?
Yeah, but
Damn.
up until like earlier this year, quite literally all I did was I would stream, and then once stream was over, that's it. I'm done. Until
Yeah.
whenever I go live next, I didn't put in any effort whatsoever.
Yep.
Right. So now it's like I'm kind of set in my ways. So I'm not great at like putting myself out there and meeting new people, making new friends, the whole 9 yards. So it's like I'm still like gradually growing, and I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm obviously very grateful for what I have, but it's like I see other people growing quickly, and it does, like, it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong,
Yeah.
which is like maybe I'm not doing something wrong, and it's just like, oh well, this, that, and the other chance hasn't arisen yet, or maybe it is. Like maybe I am doing something wrong, but
Yeah.
like I'm not new to the whole streaming business, but I'm new to literally everything else to do with it.
Yeah, all the interacting and networking and
Exactly, which
yeah.
is why like I don't like collaborate with anyone ever, because I'm just like I've never been a super social person, and the fact that I started streaming over lockdown,
Uh
um, yeah, so that kind of
socializing
like
was
that,
a
it kind of amplified it, right? And then like I didn't even think about the whole like networking side of things until, like I said earlier this year, like probably March. So it's like I'm not good at putting myself out there and like just asking people like, hey, do you like it? A lot of the time it's as simple as just like going to somebody, like going to a friend and just saying, hey, do you want to play this game?
yeah.
But for someone like me, it's not that simple, because I'm scared of like, I'm very pessimistic sometimes. So I'm like, oh well, what if they say no? Well, now I just feel like a fucking moron.
Yeah, nah, that I definitely feel for sure. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, especially with people, I feel like when there's certain people that I'm closer friends with now, so it's a little bit easier to ask here and there.
Yeah.
But if I don't talk to them like all the time, I kind of like panic on messaging them because I'm like, I don't really, if they haven't asked me, so like maybe there's a reason they haven't asked me. They don't want to play with me, so why would I ask them? That
Yeah.
whole thing is something that plays in my mind a lot when I go to ask somebody to play something. And it's stupid because it's like maybe it's on their end too. Maybe they're like, oh, I'm not gonna message them. They don't message me, and then I'm thinking that it's that. It's literally just brain overthinking loves to take over. Anxiety loves to take over of everything, even when it's the smallest of things. Even when they're your friends, it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Like I overthink everything, and I've gotten a
Yeah.
little better at it in recent years. But it's just like, especially over the start of lockdown, when I hadn't really, how do I say it, like trimmed my friend group into like actual friends and not just school friends.
Mm,
It was just like if I text somebody and within like 24 hours they haven't texted me back, it's just like, what the fuck? What did I do wrong? Did I piss them off somehow? And a lot of times it's just no, they just haven't responded.
yeah.
Like nowadays, half the time I message Declan, the guy doesn't text me back for like 4 days, and I'm just like, he might be dead. I don't know.
Damn. I literally, when people don't answer after, I think it's also different for me at least with certain people. Is if there are people that I literally speak to every single day of my life,
Mm-hmm.
every day, and it's literally just like we don't have to be talking about anything. It's just a conversation kind of keeps going, or you see how somebody's doing, and it just kind of happens, and you just click differently. So like you talk every day. So those
Yeah.
people, it's like if I don't hear from them in 24 hours, I also worry a lot. So I would probably worry first that like something happened to them, and then I'd
Mm-hmm.
also at the same time be like, wait, did I just say something? I would go back and through all of our text messages and see if I just said something that maybe like wasn't worded correctly, and I would overthink that a ton. I also tend to blame myself over a lot of things that there's no reason to blame myself over, like, nothing really happened, but I still blame myself. It's literally because I overthink, and if something feels off, it's like, you've done something. Like, the only reason it feels off is because you just did something.
Yeah.
Every single time. So if someone who I talk to every day didn't text me after 24 hours, I would definitely think that, like, I did something, or I wasn't worth their time anymore or something, because I'm also really used to people kind of just, I don't know, deciding to not talk to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you never really know. There are some people who actually do that though, where they will just don't feel like speaking to you anymore. So
Yeah.
that always feels bad, but you still
Yeah.
overthink everything. I don't know if
No,
you.
I had a guy like that when I was in high school. Like right when lockdown first hit, he and I would play games like, a couple times a week, and then I started to notice eventually that it's like, oh, it's like just me asking. He never asks me
Yeah.
at all, so I just stopped texting him. So it's like, well, maybe he'll ask me. It's been 3 years. I don't think he wants to play games with me anymore.
Yup. That literally, I feel that so much because that's what's happened with my friend group that I've been friends with these people for. One of them is like 15 years. Another one's like 10 years. Like, I've been friends with them since I was a child. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, I was doing everything. I mean, to the point where we wouldn't think of whose house we were going to. They would just come to my house. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, we're here. And they're like, yeah, I thought we were. I'm like, nobody said anything. It was just an assumption that we'd be here. And then it's like, oh, I'm hungry. What kind of food do you have? And then I have to go and buy food, or I have to cook food. And then they would leave my house a mess, and then I'd have to clean it. And, like, also with, like, planning stuff, I would always ask everybody to do stuff. And then if they didn't answer, like, if they said yes, and then the day of, nobody said anything, like, of where we were going yet, I would always have to be the one to say, hey, guys, we're still hanging out, like, what are we doing today? And then they would answer.
Yeah.
And then this year, I literally went, let's see what happens, basically, if I just don't do anything. And I didn't, and then all of a sudden, people can make plans, and I'm the bad guy for not talking to people as much anymore. That hit me real hard this year, too, because I was like, wow, I did so much for, like, 10 plus years, guys, and I stepped back,
Yeah.
and I'm bad. I'm terrible for now not putting in as much effort. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, on the plus side, it's like now you know that they're not the nicest people.
Yeah, it's so much harder too when that's like they were kind of the only friends that stuck around for real. Like, even though they
Mm-hmm.
didn't plan certain things, they stuck around still. So it's like,
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah. Losing a friend is never fun. I had a guy who, like, I mean, obviously I won't get into specifics, but I had a guy who, like, I'd been friends with this guy since I was like 4.
Damn.
I was a toddler when I first met him, um, and he and I were really close friends right up until probably like late 2021 or early 2022. And then I was just like, well, this guy is just kind of not good for my mental health in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's just every single time I talk to him, he's just like, he's just coming after me and just carrying me a new one. And it goes well beyond friendly banter.
Mm.
And it's just like, it gets to the point where I feel like, okay, like, you're actually just trying to piss me off now. So I was like, well, what the fuck changed? But I don't know. So, but yeah, needless to say, I don't really talk to that guy anymore, or ever.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yep.
But I know too with Twitter. I remember you asking me, and like I think you were even streaming us when we were first talking about it. You were like, "What do I do with Twitter?" Like, you
I
literally. I see you on Twitter now, though. I do see you on Twitter.
like actually like talking to people and responding to things, especially things that I actually give a shit about.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't say I've made any friends through Twitter or like met anyone that I've played games with. Like I've met some people that like maybe sometime in the future I will, but I have not played games with anyone that I've met through Twitter as of yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm just like, oh, am I doing something wrong? Am I not asking when I should be? Or like, what's happening? And to be honest, that's a question that I still don't have an answer to.
Yeah, I don't really. Twitter's interesting because I streamed for about a year before this past January when kind of everything picked up. I streamed for about a
Mm.
year. I did the same thing. I didn't even do face cam for like half of the year, like last year, and I would just put up my stream. It was literally we streamed because I streamed so that I could have this like footage and stuff, and if I wanted to like keep some stuff, it was literally the main reason. And then in January, I was like, you know what? I was like at 35 followers or something, and my average
Yeah.
view count was at like 2.8. I'm like, all right, you need what? 3 viewers. You need 50 followers. Let's see what I can do. So I went on Twitter and I just kind of, I didn't go ham, but I went and like under all those posts of like people trying to like network and like meet each other. That's kind of where I started with it, which
Yeah.
it's interesting when people say, I've seen people on Twitter actually saying, oh, people who answer underneath those things are so dumb, or like those things are so dumb. And I'm literally sitting here like, I've met everyone that I've met because of those things. If I didn't go and like do that and just put myself out there, I wouldn't have met any of these people. And I get like
Mm.
everyone does it differently. So like when I see people saying that, I literally just want to be like, I actually like through that I met one of my closest friends through doing that. Literally
Yeah.
we saw each other's names and I followed him and then he followed me and he was one of my first friends. So like it just kind of for me that's what started it. But you're kind of like already in our like I feel like you're already like in this community too. So you
Mm.
have like those friends and stuff and really I once I've had those friends, I just met people through like going in people's streams, honestly. That's where I met
Yeah.
so many people. But that's like the
But
whole like networking thing, honestly. It's because it is difficult because my anxiety, like behind the screen, I am shitting myself and I'm sweating
mm.
on just like speaking to these people that are trying to put myself out there because I don't want to seem annoying for one. It's like the
Yep.
whole overthinking of like I don't want to seem like I'm annoying, but it's like I want to try to like get out there, so I kind of
Yep.
have to be a little annoying.
Yeah. But it's also like, if you meet someone on like on Twitter or through Twitch, it's just like if you ask them to play games, my whole thing is like, oh well, have I known them long enough? Am I going to seem like super pushy and way too forward if I ask them now?
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh well, maybe they don't view us as friends, so they don't want to play games. And
Yeah.
it's just like there's just so many doubts surrounding it, so I just have not done it at all.
That's actually the funny thing about like so my anxiety is pretty bad, but I hide it as much as I can. And the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing about all of this too is my first collab were with two people I didn't know at all. Like literally, I think I just followed them. I saw a tweet and somebody I already knew tagged me in it because the person wanted to play Lunch Lady, which is a game that I would play a lot on stream. So somebody I already
Yes.
knew tagged me in it. I didn't know these people, and I was just like, sure, like I'll play. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I don't know what took over me, but I said sure. Was I absolutely freaking out? Literally before I was texting Mackenzie, like, dude, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know these people, but I just went with it and tried to see like what would happen. And somehow I guess I just got lucky. They were really nice people and were actually playing like later on this week and I didn't have to initiate it. One of them actually said, "Hey, there's a new map. You guys want to play it soon?" I'm like, Sure." It was I think I just got so lucky with that and I don't know what I literally had to push myself to actually do that, especially with people that I've never even spoken to before. So I just said, "Do it." And then I did it and I was freaking out, but I just did it.
Yeah, no, I definitely like. I haven't found the gear to just push myself yet. Unfortunately,
mm,
that's something I'm still very much looking for. Like I can count. Like I've probably over my 2 and a bit years of doing this, I've probably collabed with less than a dozen people.
Damn.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's a very low number.
It is hard to get that push though. I still to this day don't know why I did it. Like who was I in that? Like I really I don't know. I haven't done it since then like that. Like people I don't know.
Yeah. But it's also just like, oh, I gotta find, like, you gotta find a common game, and then it's just like, okay, time zones work out, because, like, most people are on at least a similar time zone to me, and based on their time zones, I start playing just egregiously late.
Yeah.
So it's like, that kind of doesn't help, but I also can't really play any earlier than I do.
Yeah, that's I always get that a lot too. People always try to stream with me earlier, and it's not that I can't. I'm normally during the day is when I kind of do everything else, and then I kind of leave the night for when I do stream stuff. So
Yeah.
I just kind of also I play a lot of horror games, so it's a different vibe. Like playing a horror game at night versus just the sun in my eyeballs. Like it's
Yeah.
it just works better. I don't know.
Yeah. It was like, I've always known that, like, oh, I want to play with more people. I want to meet new people, but I just like, it's so hard to do, like, because for some people it's as simple as, oh, I want to do it, so I'm just going to do it. But for me,
Yeah.
it's not nearly that simple.
Yeah, that's I've literally
Um,
had people throwing me in group chats and stuff, and I'm like, how did I get here? Well, they just wanted to play with a bunch of these people, so they just threw us all in there. And then there's me,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people, and I'm like, I won't speak. I'm
Hmm.
good.
Yep. No, I do the exact same thing. That's like, I have I'm in so many discords, especially for streamers, and I've said a word in hardly any of them.
Yeah, I,
Like, even yours, I've been in it for a while, and I've probably posted in it 4 times.
I really? I haven't.
I've been in there for months, and I've probably said 4 things in there ever.
I mean, I barely talk in my own server. I really only answer in like 2 servers, and that is it. I answer the question of a day in one other server because I feel bad when I don't see like a response in somebody's Discord of like they're like my good friend, so it's like
Yeah.
you want to help them out and stuff. And then I just feel like like it's a simple thing for me to like answer every day, so I'll just answer it every day at least so that they have like somebody who's active. If maybe a day they have like nobody in there, at least I've answered them to keep them going kind of thing. But it's really like if there are people who are constantly supporting me, it is a lot easier to like support them back because I am in a lot of discords, but I'm not like best friends with all these people.
That's kind of just how I am. If I don't know what to say, I just don't say anything.
When people are like, "Oh, how are you so active on Twitter?" I'm like, "Because I'm just random." And
Yeah.
I like it's weird having like anxiety but liking to talk because
Yeah.
I'm anxious when I'm talking. Like right now we're talking, I'm sweating
Mhm.
profusely. And then
Yeah.
like I have anxiety when talking, but I can talk forever. Like it doesn't make but then the problem is too is that then I'm overthinking that now I'm talking too much. It's just
Yeah. It's just
one after the
it's just a
other.
cycle. So it's like, oh, I'm talking too much, so I'm just going to say nothing.
Yup.
And then everybody's just like, why are you so quiet? And it's like, well, I thought I was annoying you.
Yeah, literally it is over you see you seem like a chronicle overthinker too when talking to you.
Oh yeah. No, I am.
Yeah, that for me is one of the hardest things is overthinking is because you know when you're overthinking in certain situations and the person that is on like the receiving end is telling you you're overthinking and I'm like I understand but I can't help myself to do it. It literally just like with certain things like meeting people online, all I do is I meet somebody and I feel like, I could be friends with them. But then you overthink every little thing about what you're saying because it's a new person you're talking to and you don't know them enough for like how they're gonna take what you're saying or how they're gonna take like maybe they don't like certain things that you say. I don't freaking know. So I just like I'm sweating right now talking about it.
Like, that's the funny thing about anxiety is, like, people are always just like, I've had so many people, like, Declan, for example. I mean, he's an old friend of mine. He's super easy to talk to. He's just like, oh, well, just tell me about your problems. Like, well, if it was as simple as just talk about my problems, I would not have them.
That is
Like, they
true.
wouldn't be problems. It's
That
just like
is
I'm anxious when it comes to talking about my problems. I'm like, oh well, like you overthink it again. I'm just like, well, what if I'm burdening them? What if they don't care? What if they don't want to hear it? Whole nine yards.
Yep. Sometimes it makes you feel like insane for real. Like I actually feel like
Yes.
I'm going insane because I know that I probably shouldn't be overthinking and I'm almost like doing too much in my brain, but like I cannot. I physically cannot help but overthink. Like I don't
Yeah.
know what to do about overthinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that definitely has affected me the most for sure with just like everything in life is just overthinking everything.
Yep.
It makes me feel bad though for some people who are like genuine people, and it's not that I think that they're gonna be a bad person. It's something like for me with friends, it's really hard for me to believe when friends are saying something to me like, "Oh, I'll never like leave you as a friend," or like, "I'll never like stop talking to you," because I every time that I believed somebody, well, guess how many of those people I'm friends with still? Probably like maybe one.
Yeah.
So it's like when something happens so many times, it's like you don't. It's not that. It's not on the person of like, oh, I don't believe you. It's literally like a. It's kind of on myself of like, all right, so many people have left me, so
Mhm.
clearly it's me. So what are the chances that this person is going to stay now? Even though they're saying it, and it's not that I'm not believing you, is that I just think at some point you're not going to feel it anymore. Like I don't know.
Yeah. It's just like so like some people that didn't do anything and might have turned out to be amazing friends. It's like, well, you're now paying for the sins of others. Have fun.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
there's nothing I can do about it. It's like, trust me, I'd like to get over it, but it's not that simple.
That is literally, and it's so hard for me to like explain that to people because I understand how it sounds like I think I can't like how it sounds like I can't trust you. I understand that it sounds that way, but that's not
Yeah.
how it's meant. It's literally just if it happens, like if one person stays out of 100, the odds are pretty damn low that you're gonna be another one of those like that one person.
Yes.
And it's not
Exactly.
that I think something bad of you, it's just it always happens. So it's like I don't there's nothing else that is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing facts basically because this is what has
Hmm.
happened. So that I always feel bad about because I understand why people would take that as a, like me thinking a negative thing about them because they're always like, but I'm not those people. I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing is that people say I'm not those people, and then they are
Yeah.
those people. So it's
Yeah.
like,
It's just like, oh, well, I'm different. It's like, yeah, well, that's what the last guy said. So,
exactly. And then you don't want to make them feel bad by then saying, oh, everybody has said that before. Because then that's going to make them feel bad too. It is literally a constant cycle. It is so aggravating, honestly.
it's exhausting. It really is.
It no, and it makes I always feel bad for people a lot too. So, and I also put the blame on me a lot, and then I also overthink everything too. So it's one of those
Hmm.
things of if it feels like now I'm making somebody else feel bad, even though I already felt bad, but now it's like, oh no, now they're feeling bad and they feel like I don't like them. I'm like, okay, reverse. I've done something bad now.
Exactly.
And I do it every single time. It's like I want to take back everything I just said because it's like that's why talking about feelings is hard because
Yeah.
if I talk about it, it might it might come off like especially if you have like an issue with somebody and it's not like a really serious thing, but it's something that's affecting you and you wish it wasn't affecting you, but it
Hmm.
is. And then you go to talk to someone about it and they take it as like a personal thing and
Yeah.
then now they feel bad and I'm like, ah, forget everything I just said, okay? I didn't mean any of that. I'm good, you're good, it's all great. And then I go back and I suffer again. Like
Yeah.
that's why talking is really hard for me.
Hmm. Like I've been told so many times, like, oh well, it helps to put your feelings out there and get advice and do this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, but does it?
Yeah.
And then it's just like I just devolve into because like I mean I've had issues for years, right? These are not a new thing. It's been persistent for most of my life. So it's just like, oh well, just try therapy. It's like, what if I don't want to? And then it's like on top of what if I don't want to? It's like that's when the pessimism starts because it's like, oh well, what if I can't bring myself to do it? What if I can and it doesn't work? What if it makes me feel worse? And it's just like the questions start flying. So I just subconsciously decide I'm just like, yeah, what if I just don't do it?
Yeah, I definitely feel that with therapy for sure, and I've tried it,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to steer you away from it. It's just I have tried it and it doesn't work for me. And that
Mm.
but it does work for people. I know people it works for a lot. I know some people who literally do it every single week. Some people do it like every other day just to be able to sit there and like talk to someone. And if that works for you, then it does. But some people who try to like shove it down your throat, it's like sometimes it really just doesn't work for people. It really
Like some
doesn't.
people, like it's a useful tool for most people to be
Yeah.
sure, but some people view it as like the be all end all and like a one size fits all cure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, well, that's just not how it is. It's like,
Everything is different.
could it help my problems? Maybe. For all I know, it could fucking completely cure me of them. But my pessimistic nature is far too strong for me to just do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm if I'm trying to convince myself to do something or like someone is trying to convince me to do something that I don't want to do, one of my most regrettable traits is that I 100% of the time I always have an excuse on why I can't do it.
Hmm.
Right? That's one of the like the habits I have that I would like to fucking burn to the ground the most because it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing.
So also, I know we were talking before about like anxiety with streaming
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that, but has streaming helped? Has it made it worse? Has it like not changed? Because I do know that like even like just socializing like maybe on Twitter or with other streamers and stuff, because I know some people who have anxiety, I've heard them say that it has actually helped them before, which is interesting because personally I don't feel that way, but just curious what you think about it.
So I think in some ways it's helped, and in some ways it's actually made it worse.
Hmm.
So like it's helped because like it's an easy way for me to socialize at this point because it's like, listen, I'm not like I'm not XQC. I'm not the biggest streamer there is, right?
Yeah.
But like I have a fairly sizable following of people that are, I mean, they're I mean, I posted about it today. They're fucking deranged, and I love it, right? Um, so like I talk to them fairly often, um, and so that like that helps because it's like it's consistent socialization. Um, it's sometimes at least like socialization with new people, like when a new person comes into chat and it's just like it just like throws a curveball, if you will. It's just like, okay, well now I'm talking to this person and like I'm trying to make them feel included and entertained in the whole nine yards. So it's like that helps certainly, and then the fact that like I have made friends through Twitch, but it also makes it worse for some of the reasons that we outlined earlier, like when we were talking about growth and like how some people
Mm,
just
oh
grow
yeah.
faster than others. It's like that has made it worse because like I have dealt with feelings of inadequacy and like an inferiority complex before, but for very different reasons. Um, Whereas now most of the time it comes with just like, oh, I'm just not a good enough streamer. I'm not a good enough like I'm just not good enough at socializing and networking and the whole nine yards. Right. So like that part of it has made it worse because I'm not sure I would have like I'm not sure I'd have like my feelings of inadequacy today if it wasn't for streaming. Because I mean, I would just be working a normal job, which I still am anyways. But then working a normal job, you don't have to worry about, oh, this person's growing faster than me. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But that also sounds like I'm vilifying streaming and like I hold some resentment towards it, which I don't. It's just there's pros and cons.
Always, yeah, there's always gonna be.
There's always pros and cons, right? And obviously by the fact that I'm still doing it, by my count, the pros far outweigh the cons. But that is the major con that I have, is that sometimes I just look at somebody else and I'm just like, oh, this person hit a big milestone. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. That's like, so for me with streaming and anxiety, I don't think it's changed my anxiety. I don't think it's also made it worse. The only reason it might feel worse is because now there are more people that I have to basically socialize with, so it kind of
Mm-hmm.
increases it some days. And then also at the same time, this sounds really strange, but I actually met real, genuine people, and it's almost harder because I am in a place in just life in general where I have lost like a lot of me, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not able to put in as much effort as I always did, because like we were talking about with my friends, I've literally just gotten so drained and tired of putting in so much effort that now I don't do it as much. So now I've actually met
Yeah.
people who want to give it back to me, and now I'm struggling to give it to them because of, my life and previous friends and everything like that. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like I still think it's like about the same. The only thing I think the only thing that I think streaming has kind of changed for me is less of an anxiety and more of just like a depression, mental health kind of thing. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's negative some days, but having people who actually sound like they care, or like if I was gone for 2 weeks and I didn't
Yeah.
mean to, I just happened to, and when I came back, I didn't expect anybody to be there because it was like, no, nobody's like paying attention to like what's happening to me. But then I got there and everyone's like, oh my god, you're back, and like there's a bunch of people in chat and they were like happy that I was back. That helped so much because I was like, whoa, like people care, like people knew, people saw that like I was gone, noticed that I was gone, and came here when they saw me live. Like
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing is the only thing I feel like has really changed something of like for my mental health. And obviously some days better than other days, um, but also just really being able to meet friends and having people put in any ounce of effort is still an insane feeling to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, it sounds so sad, I'm not used to people caring. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the fact that people do, even like you're not like on Twitter actively, like all the time. And
No.
then if I happen to tweet something of like, sorry guys, haven't been active, I've been having like a terrible week, and you'll message me be like, hey, saw you on Twitter, you doing okay? That is right, that's like a small thing to like reach out to somebody, but for me something like that like means so much because nobody in my life for 23 years has ever done that, which sounds really
Yeah.
sad, but it is like actually nobody has. And then
Yeah.
having multiple people all of a sudden do that in the span of a couple months, I'm like, why do people care all of a sudden? What happened?
Yeah. I'm lucky in that sense because it's like I'm very notoriously tight-lipped about my problems.
Hmm.
Like 9 times out of 10, if I have a problem, no one will know about it. Like maybe
Oh,
two people will,
I don't know if that's
right? Like I
lucky.
don't I don't talk to my parents, I don't talk to my brother. It's like the only one who knows about my problems most of the time is just Declan, because I mean, like I've said, he's a good friend of mine. I've known him half my life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like he's just an easy guy to open up to, and like considering how long we've been friends for, like I know for a fact he actually cares that I'm alive.
Yeah.
Um,
Well.
so it's like I'm lucky in that sense, and I'm also lucky in the sense that I have people that I know would care should I choose to open up to them.
Mhm.
I just don't, because I mean that's just how I am. I just don't talk about my problems.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've kind of just like the reason I've put it on Twitter, it's kind of like to like I don't go in, I've never gone into like details on Twitter of like here's
yeah,
all the shit that happened to me. I would never do that because I for one don't want people to feel bad. Like
mm-hmm.
I don't like them people like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." I don't want I never want to hear that. So like me putting stuff on Twitter is literally like, "Hey, if I have to end stream today early, or if I seem out of it, like, sorry, not doing good. Or,
Yeah.
guys, I wanted to stream this week, but I couldn't stream this week because mental health. Sorry. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of, like, general.
Yeah, it's like I know some people are just like, "Oh, you're just doing that for attention. You're just seeking attention." It's like, no, it's just some people are gonna wonder where the fuck I am, and I'm just
Yeah.
telling them. But I'm not going into like if I was actually seeking attention, I would go into detail, but I would change the story.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would go into details, but the story would be complete bullshit. Right? As it stands, it's just I know people are going to ask. So I'm going to just preemptively say, I'm feeling like shit. I'm not going to tell you why, but you know that I am, and that's why I'm not streaming. I'm not dead. I'm just
Exactly.
not feeling well.
Yep. That's exactly why I always put it out there too, is just, and also like even like friends too, if people I talk to like constantly, maybe I'm not answering them as much, they can see on Twitter like, ah, okay, she's not having a day. And then some
Mm.
people will like notice it and like message me about it, and I'll just kind of say, they'll ask if I want to talk about it, and I normally just say no, I'm good.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, I've also just dealt with it by myself for literally my entire life, and the most it's ever come out is this past year, because this past year has it's been a rough one, so it kind of is
Mm.
kind of just comes out. But I literally, the way I talk about trauma and stuff, I like, you know, some people when they talk about trauma they'll like cry, but then there's some people who talk about trauma and they laugh, not because it's
Yeah.
funny, but because it's just, I don't know. I'm the one that
Like,
laughs, and I don't
it,
know
like
why.
laughing usually in this context, at least, is a way to signify either A, you know it's like heavy topics and you're trying to like keep the mood light so it doesn't get super depressing,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's a signal that it's just like, oh, I'm telling you solely because you asked, but I've moved past it and it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like a, because I never really paid attention to how much I do it, because I never really did it until this year. But I've been mentioning things like, I will never mention the entirety of all my feelings, because that's disgust, like that for me. Okay, it's not disgusting, but for me it is. Thinking of myself doing that is just freaks
Yes.
me out. Um, but when I talk about things that bother me, I guess I've noticed that I tend to laugh, because some people are like, what? I'm like, they're like, why are you laugh? I'm like, no, I'm not laughing. Like, it's not funny. Like, I'm literally talking about something that's really bad that's happened, and I'm
Yeah.
literally laughing, and it's just like a chuckle too. But I don't know. It's when I don't. I think it's because I don't like talking about those like deep things. Like, I can,
Yeah.
but the feeling you feel when all of a sudden like something's getting heavier and something's getting deep, and you know you feel bad about it, and I don't want to sit there and like, I don't want. I'll never cry in front of people. I
Oh, I
refuse.
never do.
Yeah, I hold everything in. I'll bite my tongue till it bleeds before I cry. I just
Yep.
personally do not like to do that. So that could also probably be part of why I kind of laugh, because if I
Yeah.
don't laugh, because I'm hurting from it, so I'll probably just cry.
Yeah.
But we're not doing
But
that.
like I'm also like I'm in the same boat. Of, like I don't open up. I've never fully opened up to anybody, and to be perfectly honest, I don't really plan to.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. But my whole thing is like when I talk about bad shit and I laugh about it, like bad shit relating to me, to be specific, and I laugh about it. A lot of the times it's because like if I feel pressured, because of the way that I view myself, which just for the sake of clarity, I like to think that I'm a funny guy. So because of that, my first line of defense, so to speak, is I just start telling jokes. And like I try, or at least I try and make whatever situation I'm currently in into a joke solely to lessen it for myself.
Yeah.
Right? And like the main thing is to lessen it for myself, but it's also to like try and um, sort of deflect away from whatever's making me crack the joke in the first place. And it surprised me, it usually works.
Really.
Yeah. You would think that people would see through it, but no. Maybe I'm just a genius. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, 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 of course.
Yeah, of course.
I will say, there's one type of situation or a feeling, I guess, that is one I don't laugh about when I feel pain or I'm sad or something. It is always if I feel embarrassed. If I feel embarrassed in front of people, I will a lot of anxiety will kick in and I will get like really like defensive and then I'll
Yes.
start getting really upset and I have to leave because that is one thing that I don't know why it is like my biggest thing. If somebody makes me feel embarrassed and there's multiple, especially if it's multiple people and you're on your own and everyone's like it's all on you, I literally all I want to do in that moment is like that's one moment where all I want to do is cry
Yep.
because I don't know what it is about it. Even if it doesn't seem like it's a situation that's like would make you feel embarrassed. If I feel embarrassed, that is one thing that that's why too is so hard for like streaming for me with people is because the way that I talk. Like you've heard me and Mackenzie talk before. We say some dumb stuff, weird stuff. Sometimes that type of thing doesn't really some people don't like talk like that and they don't like shoot that joke back at you. So if I say it
Yeah.
and they go silent, here comes the overthinking. Now I feel embarrassed. Now I'm like, oh my god, what did you do? This person hates you, and I get really embarrassed and I just kind of shut down. And that to me for streaming is the worst that I feel because now I'm like everybody can see my face and I don't want to just go and like cry or something. I don't want to go and turn off my camera. I don't want people to think something is wrong, even though it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over a small thing too. That for me for streaming is always the hardest thing. Is when I feel like now I've said something, and someone thinks I'm annoying or someone thinks I'm
Yes.
stupid. Oh, that I can't. It makes me just want to cry, and it's such a small thing. Like if it's a sentence and like someone doesn't respond, it could literally just be they have nothing to say, but I'll think
Yeah.
that it's me and I literally just want to cry.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat of like if I'm ever made to like feel like a fool, like if I feel embarrassed or I feel stupid or anything like that, I I have a tendency to get very we'll say unfiltered.
Mhm.
And not in a good way, but it's just like somebody will say something to me and it's just like I don't like their tone. And it makes me feel like, oh, this guy's talking to me like I'm a fucking child or I'm completely brain dead or something of the sort.
Yep.
Um, and most people would just say like, "Oh, I didn't like your tone. Could you change it?" And even if it's like one of my close friends, I'll just be like, you don't have to talk to me like I'm a fucking moron. You know that, right? And it's just like way out of left field, and they're just like, "Oh my god, what the fuck just happened?" It's just like, "Oh, sorry." Um,
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
it's like I don't mean it. It's just like I get inflammatory is a good
Mhm.
word. I get very inflammatory if someone makes me feel like an idiot, whether it's intentional or not. It's just like somebody makes me feel like an idiot. Well, I'm just like, okay, well now I have to defend myself and I have to prove that I'm not an idiot.
Yep.
Which is like once upon a time I was able to just laugh it off, and I wish more than anything I could go back to that. But nowadays it's like, oh well, he made you feel like he made you look like an idiot. Are you just gonna sit there and take it? And it's like I wish I could just go, yeah, yeah, I am,
Mhm.
but I can't.
Yeah, that's something that actually happened recently too. And it just reminded me of it because I guess I haven't really been streaming much, so I really haven't had that happen. And if I do stream, it's once a week with Mackenzie, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit different. But I was talking to one of my friends, and he was explaining something to me for a game that like I play a little bit, but I don't really pay attention to like the specifics. I don't care about the specifics. I'm just playing to have
Yeah.
fun, kind of. And he was explaining something to me, and I genuinely. So what happened in that conversation that I guess he didn't know and I didn't know was he was trying to explain something to me, but he missed the step because I guess he thought it was probably something you just like knew, but because
You
I
just kind
play
of
the game,
pick
so
up,
he
yeah.
kind of thought yeah, and I had no idea, so I was getting so confused, and then he made a comment of like I don't understand why you don't get it. And to me, and he after we talked about it, he said he meant that as in, like, he wasn't getting where I was going wrong, or like where.
Yeah.
And for me, when I heard that, I was like, I felt like an idiot. I was like, he just said, I
Yeah.
don't understand why you don't get this, and
Yeah.
like I was some stupid person, and I got so angry, and then that
Yeah.
blew up into something else.
Yeah. Like, as a third party, is like, I hear that sentence and I'm just like, I pick up on what he says and I'm just like, oh well, he just doesn't understand like what's gone wrong to the point where you don't understand, and he's not trying to make you feel stupid. But
Mm,
if he said that to me, I would take it the same way you did, and I'm just like, what the fuck do you mean? Like,
yeah.
like I don't understand either. This is your fault. You're teaching me.
That's literally, I just got so not aggravated, but it frustrated me because first of all, I'm already frustrated that I feel like an idiot, that I don't understand
Yeah.
what the hell he's talking about. So that's one thing to start off with. I already feel dumb. And
Yeah.
then he actually says it. Like, he doesn't say that you're dumb, but it was a sentence that made me feel dumb. And I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, this is what I don't understand. And then later on, we talked about it, so it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment, if I felt embarrassed already before anything was said. So that's already an uh-oh. Like, that's already
Yeah.
like, watch what you say for a second, because I am on shutdown mode. Like, next thing you
Yeah.
can say, I'm shutting down. And then that's what was said, and it was over.
Yeah.
That is such a hard, the embarrassment of things is such a hard thing for me. And
Yeah.
feeling stupid, or feeling like something, like, I've also had it happen before. This was probably the worst, I will say. It was, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but it was basically, I was with a boyfriend at the time, now an ex, and he, I don't know, we had something happen, like, just me and him, and it was something that, like, I did that I thought was okay, like, not like, it wasn't like a big thing or something, it was something small that I was like, I didn't think about I was doing anything or whatever, and he, like, corrected me on something, which already, in that moment, I already kind of felt stupid, so it made me a little sad. It wasn't like, I wasn't constantly thinking about it, it was just in the moment when he did it, I was like, oh, because I was like, I wasn't thinking about anything, and if I'm feeling okay, and somebody takes that from me, I'm like, oh, shit, like, so
Yeah.
it kind of just made me feel like that, and then we were with friends, and he brought it up to everybody, and said it to,
fuck that.
yeah, he said it to everyone, and 3 of his friends and him started not yelling at me, but, like, you know, they were kind of not heated about it, but they agreed with him, so they were saying it all to me. I'm sitting there and I was trying to defend myself about a situation that I already felt a little upset about, and now it's like, oh, okay, everybody is, like, putting all this on me, and I just remember I was, like, I literally left, and I was like, what just happened? For one, it's when you date somebody, you expect that person to be the one that you can, like, fall to, or, like, trust, and whatever, and he was the one that initiated it, and then not only initiated it, but then let everybody start saying stuff to me. That, for me, was probably the worst embarrassment experience that I felt in so long, because of those circumstances of it being the person I'm dating, and then also it was so many people at once over something that I wasn't thinking about when I was, like, because it was fine, like, I wasn't thinking, and then he corrected me on it in the middle, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, like, I didn't know that mattered that much for you to cut me off in the middle and say something, and then not only that, but then now bring it up to everybody. That was literally the worst thing. I just remember the way that I felt having everybody almost, like, because it's 3 people talking at once, so it's not that they were yelling, but it's 3 people talking at you at once.
It gets super overwhelming.
Oh my god, that was absolutely horrible. I literally, it sounds so dumb, but that situation, I feel like, just traumatized my brain.
Yeah, and I've had times where, like, because, I mean, I have a lot of, I don't know if you'd call them disorders, but, like, ADHD and the like, I don't know what the fuck they're called these days. We'll call them disorders for now. I have a fair few of those, And so like ADHD especially makes it sometimes really fucking hard for me to pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
Um, so like I've had times where like I'll be in a call with people and we'll be playing a game that like one of the five of us is super familiar with, and he'll be explaining this, that, and the other thing, and he'll explain it, and then another guy will ask for clarification, and then he'll explain it again, and I'm just like ADHDing off in the corner, and I'm just completely tuned out. And then we get to a point where that situation actually matters, and I'm just like, what the fuck do I do here? And he's just like I explained this like three times already, and I'm just like, my guy, like if I could have paid attention, I would have.
Yeah.
Like that's just how I'm wired. It's like sometimes it's just hard to pay attention, but then I'm also very bad at like I don't know how to phrase this, but we'll say like separating like platonic frustration from frustration with a person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what
So
you
like
mean.
in this case, it's like he's not frustrated with me because he knows that I have ADHD, and that's why I have no fucking clue what he was talking about. But I'm not good at recognizing that, and so like to other people, it's obvious that like, oh, he's just frustrated with the situation. But to me, it's just like, oh, well, I just pissed him off, and now I'm just not going to say anything because I don't want to piss him off anymore.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like, oh, well, you haven't said anything. Why are you so quiet? And it's like, because I think I pissed everybody off. I don't want to say anything.
Yep.
It's like we're in the middle of a game, so I don't want to leave, but
Nah, it's so hard though too if you like when you almost go in like a shutdown mode to get
yeah,
out of it while everybody else is like fine and they're doing their thing and you're like in your shutdown mode. It is so hard to get out of sometimes.
yeah. Because it's just like something will make you smile, and then you'll just remember like, oh, I'm upset, and then you'll just shut
Yeah.
down again, and it's like, oh, well, fuck, okay.
Yup. That was literally like this weekend. So I have been slowly. I've already been on like a decline of just mental stability, but
Hmm.
this weekend there has been a very high of emotions lately because like it sounds dumb, but so my birthday is coming up, right? And
Yeah,
I never really cared about my birthday. I still like don't care about my birthday, but this year, right? Or how about last year? A year ago from around this time, I had two friend groups. And now we're here a year later, and I completely don't have one of the friend groups. And the other
hmm,
ones don't care, and they're all hanging out with each other, and they could care less about anything, even though I've told them, like, hey guys, not doing so good, hard for me to, like, get up and make plans and stuff. They're like, okay. So that I have to see every day of my life, like, on social media and stuff, and I'm just here in my room. And then I also had a boyfriend at the time, so at least if I didn't have friends, I can fall back there. And
yeah,
I don't have that either. And then also my family every single year, literally I've been born, well, I guess I'm turning 23, so I've been born for 22 years, and every single year I have seen, a couple of my aunts and uncles. We all like live in the same town, so I've seen them just around my birthday to just see
yeah,
them and have cake. And nobody has said anything. And then I said something to my mom where I was like, um, oh, if we're gonna, because I now have plans from like the 19th to the 26th, so I'm like, oh, I have something to do on this weekend, so if like my aunts and uncles want to come over, like I'm gonna be away, and she was like, oh, we're not doing anything, and I was like, oh, so
like, oh, I'll go fuck myself then. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
was like, and it's not that like I'm like, oh, I want people to be here for my birthday. It was literally just a one after the other. It's like one friend group, another friend group. Oh, your family now. Oh, your boyfriend now. It
Yeah,
was just like, and now that my birthday is like coming up, I don't know why it is making me so emotional because of it. Because I feel like what did I do from last year? Like
yeah,
what is the only thing that's different is I haven't been doing okay mentally. So then people decided what I don't want to speak to you anymore. I don't want to see you anymore. And to me,
yeah.
it's just like it's hard to not beat yourself up about it because it's like, wow, it's literally everyone down to your family. Like,
Yeah, so it's like, oh well, there's one common denominator in here, and it's me. So what have
yeah,
I done? So like,
exact.
well, maybe literally all of them are just shitty people.
And that's what people like. Some people will say to me, and I'm like, it still is gonna like affect me though, just because it's like that's all I can think of, is that the only problem is the one person that's in the middle of all of it, and it's me.
Yeah.
And I just went away this weekend with Mackenzie, and yeah, we can have a great time, and like we can laugh, and it could be literally the hardest I laughed in a while. But as soon as you put me, I'm like alone in that room trying to fall asleep. Everything that I've been feeling this past week is just right back, instant.
Yep.
That like it's so, that's why people for a while didn't know that I was like depressed, because they're like, oh, you're always like laughing, you're always doing this. I'm like, yeah, because I'm able to. I don't mope around. I can laugh, I can have fun, but ultimately, as soon as that is over, I am right back to where I was every time.
Some people, that especially those that aren't depressed, think that depression just means like, oh, you can't be happy ever. It's like, that's not what that means. It's like, I have times when I'm happy, but it just means the times when I'm not, I'm fucked.
Yeah, literally. That's why, because like, so my brother, he's also depressed, but he basically walks around moping all the time. He like doesn't want to be near people, doesn't want this, and that's just kind of like, he shows it. I guess maybe it's different because I don't want to show it. Like, I don't want people to come up to me and ask. I don't know if he wants that, but that's just kind of what it feels like too, is like why I don't mope around. Like, I probably could, but I hold myself back from looking like that all the time so that I don't get asked everywhere I go, hey, what's wrong? Hey, are you okay? Hey, why aren't you smiling? Like, I don't want to hear that.
Dude, that's the thing. It's like, because of the way, like, everybody around me kind of knows that I'm just like super shy and I keep to myself for the most part. Even when I'm just like having an awful day and like the thoughts are flying, it's like nobody asks because they just assume it's just like, oh, he's just not feeling social today. I'm just like, well, that's kind of it, but it's like, I'm not feeling social because I have a severe urge to do unspeakable things to myself.
Oh.
I'm just like, but because of the way I conduct myself, even on a good day, nobody recognizes that, right?
Yeah.
And
Kind of
it's like,
wish I was like that.
yeah, and it's like, because of what we talked about earlier, I'm never just gonna say like they don't ask because they just assume it's just, he doesn't have anything to talk about, he's fine. But because of the way I am, I'm not just gonna say, no, I'm not fine, I'm actually doing terrible. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Sometimes
smile
I
and wave.
will. Sometimes if somebody says, like, right, Mackenzie walks up to me, hey, how you doing today? I'd be like, ah, pretty shit. And she's like, yeah, you want to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about it? I'm like, nah. And then we continue on.
Yeah, no, like I do that with like that. I do that with Declan, right? But
Yeah.
again, like it's different when it's like an old friend who you fucking trust more than anyone.
Yeah, and they get it too. Like, she gets it that, like, most of the time I'm not doing okay, but I whatever we're doing, like, I can do. Like, we're out, we can do what we need to do. We could have fun, but ultimately if you ask me how I'm doing, it's probably always going to be, yeah, pretty garbage.
Yeah. See, like I'm very like up and down, where it's like when I'm doing good, it's like everything's fine, and that's when I fool myself into thinking like, oh, I've kicked these issues, I've gotten over them by myself. I don't need any help, right? Like when I'm fine, it's like, oh, I'm just a normal person. I'm just shy and not super social is all. But when things are bad, it's like, yeah, I'm never gonna fucking talk to anybody ever again.
Yep. I definitely feel that, because that's also with like the whole overthinking anxiety thing, is
Yep.
sometimes I feel like I should just not talk to people, because then, hey,
Yep.
I won't feel any of that if I just talk to nobody.
Exactly.
So I definitely have those times too. Because, like, right now, when I feel the most alone, where it feels like, I mean, like, last year I had all these people, and this year I have, like, nobody. It's literally like,
Yeah.
well, at that point, if I just shut down from literally the two people that speak to me, then what is that gonna, like, it's not gonna affect anything. It's just, I already feel alone. I got
Yeah.
two people, which two people, yes, two people is still nice. But
Yeah.
if I end up, I'm not okay. So if I end up ever affecting one of them, and they're the two people that are like sticking around, I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna talk. I'll never speak again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've especially recently, I've just had such a hard time just like talking to anybody, like even my own family. Because
Yeah.
like I went to like a family gathering with on my mom's side, like her parents and a couple aunts and uncles, my cousins, and the whole 9 yards. And it's just like I probably said a dozen words the whole time I was there. And we were there for like 6 hours. And I said a dozen words. And it's like, it's not even like it's new people. It's just, I walk in and I'm just like, it just feels like nobody fucking cares that I'm there.
Yeah, I feel that.
Right? And it's just like, oh, why don't they care that I'm there? It's like, because like, what do I have to talk about them? It's like, okay, well, I play video games. Do any of them? No, they're old or they work. Right? Okay. What else do I do? I read books. Do I read the same kind of books that they do? No. Do they even read? Probably not. Okay. What's next? Do I go to school? No. Okay. We talk about the job. How's your job? Oh, it's pretty shit. How's yours? Oh, mine's terrible. Cool. Move on. What's next? I play hockey. I'm like one of three people in my family that plays hockey. So it's like, well, can't talk to them about that either.
Yeah.
And so then it just feels like they all just like kind of avoid conversation with me because it's like, oh, it'll just get awkward. But then that just leads to me just feeling like, oh, just nobody actually gives a fuck that I'm here, and I could just leave and no one would notice.
Yeah, I definitely feel that too.
I've done that before.
Really?
It's not at a family gathering, but like I've been in a gathering of like a bunch of my friends, and it's just like or like when I was it high school or probably high school. I was in probably like the 10th grade, and I was in a gathering of a bunch of my friends, and I just felt like nobody was talking to me and nobody really cared that I was there. And so I didn't say anything to anyone. I just left and I walked home, and it took an hour and a half before somebody texted me and was just like, "Where'd you go?"
Oh
And it's
my
just like,
god.
wow, fucking great friends you guys are.
Yep, I've done that before.
I was just like, wow, cool. That looks like my presence was missed so much that you guys only noticed when you disbanded for the night.
Yep.
They're just like, oh, but we were having such a good time. Why did you leave? And I'm just like, well, the fact that it took you guys 90 full minutes to realize that I was gone should be a dead giveaway as to why I left.
Yeah, it's that's why it's literally just an ongoing cycle. I feel like no matter what I do, it just feels like it's going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. But it's just like, I feel like I'm hard to talk to, especially with like my family or like new people. Because it's like, I don't really feel that I have a purpose, if that makes sense. Like, I've lost my sense of purpose.
Mm.
Because it's like, like, in all actuality, what am I really doing? Like, I have a job, a pretty stable one, so I still have an income. But like, I don't go to school. I graduated high school. I said, fuck that. I'm not going back. It's like, okay, you didn't go to college or university. What awaits you? Either a minimum wage job or a factory job that's going to pay well but make you as miserable as you could possibly imagine. Or you can be homeless. Take your pick. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like subconsciously hedging my bets on streaming, or if I just couldn't be fucked to go to school because I have no interest and I've just never been a good student.
I mean, school, honestly, it's just like how I feel after graduating college was just, ah, I have spent thousands of dollars on a piece of paper and I have learned nothing.
Yep, and it's like, okay, so before I could get minimum wage jobs, and with this diploma, I can get minimum wage jobs.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because everywhere else is like, oh, you need experience of this long. I'm like, I can't get experience if everybody needs
like,
experience.
It's like, where am I supposed to get experience?
Yeah. But it was a lot of people kind of, even just to see that you have a degree, people prefer that. So it's like, whatever, I just spent $1,000 for a piece of paper, but maybe it'll at least get me more jobs. And if it doesn't, well,
what's the worst that happens is that I spend thousands of dollars to go to school. I fucking flunk out of school, and now I feel like an absolute moron, and my already dwindling mental health is even worse because now I feel like a genuine failure. Like,
yep.
yeah, the worst that happens is not just, oh, you didn't like your course. It's like, no, that's not the worst that happens. Not even a little bit close.
Yeah. It's definitely, that's definitely been my brain lately of just the, what am I doing? Because it's been so hard to even just do things. So it's really like, what am I doing? I have, like, right now, it's just like nothing. Cause I need to like not be the way that I am right now, at least a little bit, so that I can actually be okay with waking up.
Yeah.
So, on that note, thank you so much, Daniel, for being here on today's podcast.
Of course, my pleasure.
And hey, if this is only the first little season of it, we're gonna do a second one. If we ever have more to talk about, come on, sign right up.
Sure. I'll be happy to come back. Just give me a
Because
shout.
I feel like we could totally just talk forever. Honestly.
Yeah, we can talk about anything for hours.
Yeah. But thanks again for joining today, and for everybody else, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, I'll catch you next time.